Hello there, everyone. Zantok here with Slickstart Gaming, and welcome back to some more Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. This has been the case that never ends, hasn't it? It has been so long. Previous cases, it was just like, alright, we can do one episode of an investigation phase, one episode of a court case, and we just keep moving forward. This one has been like, alright, we've had to divide the court section into two episodes. This time it's being divided up into, well, at least three. We'll see how today goes, but I'm struggling to remember, were other cases later in the franchise this long, or is this just the longest one, period? Don't know, but I think it's time we actually get into it. February 25th, 2:21 p.m., courtroom number 9. Now then, will the defendant, Ms. Lana Skye, please take the stand? Miss Lana Skye, you are the chief prosecutor? I'm sure you are aware of what is required of you. But, Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years. Please, provide the court with your testimony, Ms. Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth. Of course. The truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Gant. Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. Gant and the fabrication. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago, all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Did it though? Are you sure about this testimony? Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But Lana! If this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this. That's what I've been trying to tell you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. But what if she is telling the truth? She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah. This is no time to start second-guessing myself. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Alright, so you worked along Gant for years. That seems fine. There's no truth to the blackmail theory. I disagree, so let's find out what you have to say. But think about it, Miss Skye. You didn't murder Detective Goodman. You told me as much yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? Any testimony you cannot present in court is as useless as idle gossip. I stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. And saying that you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by yourself. Did you do so to help your sister? Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. But what she did was justifiable self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day, all because of that creep. That's why I couldn't forgive him. Lana. So that's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago. Now, when you found the body, you rearranged the crime scene. You say you did this all by yourself. Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body. What? But Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark? Something like that. If that is so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. That sounds like nonsense. That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. All just to protect me. So, when you found the scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to. Yes. Alright, she's saying that I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the wound, then moved the body. That sounds a little... don't know about that. You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the wound, and then you moved the body? But why? Why would you do that? You, of all people, should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad. Maybe I would ask for the sake of the others. Why did you move the body, or why did you plant the knife? I mean, it's kind of obvious why she planted the knife, to make it look like Joe did it. But why did you move the body? When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It was where you deduced it, by Chief Kant's desk. But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple. Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Ms. Skye moved the body. Alright, the pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened your plan. How? Pieces of the jar? You mean... Yes, that wretched jar Mr. Wright showed us earlier. In order to show that Dark committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body. So... when you first found the body, the jar was already... Of course, it had been shattered to pieces. If you looked at the crime scene, it will be clear right away what happened. Neil Marshall was dead, and Dark was lying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have been broken during their struggle. I see. What's the matter, Emma? Apparently, the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed. But I have a feeling there's more to it than that. Must be a contradiction here somewhere. Anyway, I committed this fabrication completely alone. Okay, so if the jar broke during the struggle, then how was the word Emma written on it? Lana, I would like for you to answer this question for me, please. Miss Skye, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister. You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered? If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been useless. Even so, I am compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony. A contradiction? In my testimony? It's more likely than you think. You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right. Do you have a problem with that? It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not yet have been broken before he died. Ah. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar. I mean, he could have, just not in the way that he did. Order. Order. Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are about the truth towards which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth. Very well. The witness may now continue her testimony. Uh-oh, Lana. Did your hand get slapped? Alright, jar and the message in blood. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. You mean you were the one who wiped away the message in blood? I wasn't chief prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence. Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Okay. Let's see here. You immediately noticed the blood traces, but it was dark in the room, you didn't have time to check it out. You wiped it away. But you didn't get them all. But how could you see with the power out? It should have been pitch black in that office. A detective is always prepared, Mr. Wright. Even now, I always carry a pocket light and a camera with me. Even I carry my... What? Hold up, that's a text error. Even I carry my bottle of emergency luminol wherever I go. My A bottle, really? Come on guys, what an oversight. I never miss anything. I got every last piece. You did not get every last piece. If you did, we wouldn't have found the blood. Do I really have to present the same jar to you again, Lana? Seriously? Are you this dense? Is this an act you're putting on for us? Miss Skye, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you were unaware of. What? We found the final piece of this jar in Chief Gant's safe. In the Chief's safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it. But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off of them. Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you. That checks out. Wait, could Gant have been the one to write Emma's name? Wait a minute here. But couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece? I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective. That may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Huh, can you believe that? Unfortunately, yes I can. Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken. Oh, that. There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness. I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gant. At the time, he was looking for Dark downstairs. Besides, even if he was there first, why would he break the jar? The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide that fact for 2 years? Nothing to say there, Judge? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that? Are we seeing a judge meltdown here? Wow. Sorry, I wonder if the judge knows about this. Wait, I'm not the one on trial here. No, you're not. Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar. He proceeded to break the jar and purposely hide one of the broken pieces. Question: what is this action called? Fabrication. But why would Chief Gant do that? In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear? What happened afterwards? Discovering the scene, Lana Skye believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma. And here is the reason. The reason why Ms. Skye became the Chief's puppet. No, I did it all on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the Chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their clients. Wow, more text errors. They did not take care of that. Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client. I guess you do seem like the type who likes to twist the truth. What? Wait a minute. That gives me an idea. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap? Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Lana, maybe Wright after all. What do you mean, Wright? So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright? Well, no. Miss Skye, please, testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Skye, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will, if you tell the truth. Very well. I will testify about what I really saw. All right. The witness may testify once more for the final time. Oh boy. Alright, actual crime scene, tell us. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor's sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what had happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent. Yeah, and she is. Unbelievable. The body was impaled on the armor's sword. You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. What? I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning. You what? To me? It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed. But I don't remember receiving a picture like that. Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright? She really does have faith in you. Very well, Mr. Wright. Please present this picture. I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lana. Lana said she gave it to you this morning, right? I seem to remember getting something from her. Let's check that evidence again. There must be a picture in there somewhere. Oh, not the badge. So we did get something from Lana. We got the Book of Evidence Law. But there were no pictures in it. Can we open it? I'm not seeing the option. Ooh, hang on. Oh, shit! Hey, there's a picture here. Oh, oh my. This is the actual crime scene. No other detectives saw the crime scene like this. That's because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I rearranged the scene. Mr. Wright, that piece cut out from his vest. Could that be the cloth we found inside Chief Gant's safe? What's this? It's a handprint. That cloth, it had fingerprints on it. Whose ever fingerprints those are must be the real murderer. What? But those fingerprints, they're yours, Emma. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Well... Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. As long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer. Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Alright, so you found his body impaled. What? Gant? You're back? Come now, Aji. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. Chief Gant. What? Now you want to make me out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense. Didn't they say that you're not allowed to since you left earlier? I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined testimony. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. Get the fuck out, Gant. This must be the risk the judge was talking about. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. Bye-bye, Gant. Get out of here now. This is no longer your case. So what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you. But I don't think... Oh, no. But I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence. Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence? No, I don't. But someone does. Someone? So then, what's your excuse, Righto? Huh? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death. Conclusive evidence that leaves us no room for doubt. Is this true, Mr. Wright? Shit. He means the piece of leather that we found. If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer. Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now. And if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. What do I do now? I better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Should I present it? The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall? I mean, we have to. We don't have a choice. Yes, Your Honor. I do have further evidence. Alright, the time's finally come to show it to them. Those prints have got to be the Chief's. Well, not exactly. Now then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall. I'm sorry, Emma. That's a piece of leather clothing. Yes. It most likely was cut from the victim's chest. From the victim's vest. Wow. Near his chest. What's this? There's a big handprint on it. Surely it must have been left on the cloth by whoever shot the victim into the sword. What? Whose fingerprints are on this? I'm sure Wright has checked, haven't you? Shit. Well, whose are they? They're Ms. Skies. Ms. Emma Skies. What? They're mine? So I really did do it? See, I told you it was conclusive. But this was found in your safe. That means it's possible you forged it. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember any cloth in my safe. Do you really expect me to believe that? Yes, I do. But give it up, Mr. Wright. It's over. You shouldn't have presented that. By presenting that evidence, you tied Emma Sky to Neil Marshall's death. It appears we have our killer. No! No! Everything hinged on that point. In the end, Lana was found guilty. Wait, did I just actually lose? What? What? Hold up. Okay. Apparently we screwed up, I guess? I'm gonna be right back. We're gonna get back to where we were. Alright, we wound back the clock this time. We're back to the decision. Do we show the evidence? Do we not? We've already seen what happens if we show the evidence, so maybe this time we should just not do it? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lie! The Chief Gant. You opened my safe! I know you took what was inside! The conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together. Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Go look at this picture. See the victim's vest. Notice anything odd about the chest area? It looks like part of it's been cut off for some reason. You mean you had this in your safe? What? That means you, the Chief of Police, concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department. Uh-oh, Gant. Did you just reveal that you were concealing evidence? Oops. Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Righto. I mean, technically we didn't. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened. What? You mean you admit to it? I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana. So you really were manipulating her? I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, that when she saw the scene, she would ask me for my aid. So, you assisted Miss Sky? I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. When we rearranged the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. I did this before Lana even arrived at the scene. 2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe? But why? For insurance, of course. Insurance? I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed. You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence? Who do you take me for? A fool! I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I hid the most illegible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off of all the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on this jar too? I mean, it looks a little clean for somebody that is using their dying breaths to write a name. Ho ho ho! Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Come on, Wright-o! Cough it up already. I know you'll have it. What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So, you admit to it then, Chief Gant, that you were hiding the cloth that you cut off the victim's vest in your safe. Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being a chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Foolish move, Wright-o. You should have shown it then before it was too late. It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. Alright, this time let's try showing the evidence again. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now. Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall. I never said that this means this person murdered him. But I did show that, hey, he was hiding this, so that means it could have been fabricated. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh yes, at last you've finally brought it out into the open. There's a handprint on this piece of cloth. Your Honor, the prosecution requests that be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather, there must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly. You mean, it could not have been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. I don't know, that could be forged. Ho ho ho! You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Wright-o had all this time to present this evidence. Yet, he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean, you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on this. Mr. Wright, do you really know? Unfortunately, yes. Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they? Very well. I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person whom these fingerprints belong to are Emma Sky. Emma Sky? What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? because you would have freaked out. Oh, ho, ho, ho! You're really something, righto. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still tried to pin the murder on me. So, it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death. How could you? You monster! Miss Sky, you knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't? I still never said she did it. Miss Sky, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet. Ha ha! But I'm afraid it is, boy. Not only this trial, but your career too. You purposely concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy! What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh, and what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall? What? Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask? It was Sky, wasn't it? I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. It what? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about? I'm talking about a contradiction. One that proves who the real murderer is. Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, what could it possibly contradict? Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth is... Let's look at this first of all, because it shows the moment that we had everything going on. I really feel like, granted, I don't know how tall Emmett is, but I'm going to bank on the fact that, wait a minute. First of all, the bloodstain is kind of weird to me. Second of all, I'm just going to bank on the fact that she would have been too short to push him up on that height on his chest. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just going to go with it. If I'm wrong, I'll figure something else out. Maybe, and the only other thing I can think of is... Oh god, this is too slow to do it this way. Where is the photo? Not that photo. Ah, the team picture. That's what I was looking for. It was right there. Okay, yeah, he is wearing that vest. I wanted to check and make sure. Was he actually wearing the vest that day? Apparently he was. Damn it. And what exactly is this supposed to be? This? Oh, this is the picture that Ms. Sky took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out? Yes. Oh, yes. His shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. Wait a minute. The cloth has no blood. I knew there was something weird with the blood stain. I was just also baking on the height thing. His lungs no doubt were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth. Oh, but that piece of cloth. There's no blood on it. Wait, there's no blood on it. Uh-oh. Since Emma Sky's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword. This is nonsense! Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Sky? Before she picked up the unconscious prosecutor and impaled him on the armored sword. Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. Then he broke the jar on purpose to leave behind a clue and make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest? Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer. This hasn't said anything about Goodman, though. We're only talking about an old case. It's finished. We haven't proved shit about Goodman, though. Oh! He don't look good. Oh, ho, 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 ho. That was close, Righto. You almost had me. What? Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean, you refute his allegations? You see, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence. No, it's not. Order, order. What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember G. Earlier, old Righto here concealed that piece of cloth. So then, what's your excuse, Righto? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. But that's not fair. Ho ho! Did you actually think you could best me in court? It looks like the last laugh's on you, son. It's actually not, but I'll let you have your moment. I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth? True. Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Well, Mr. Wright? It seems, at last, the time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. Mr. Wright, do you admit to it, that you purposely and illegally concealed this piece of cloth? No. Certainly. I refused to present evidence at one point. Ha ha! So the evidence is illegal! No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't. What do you mean, you couldn't? There are certain procedures involved in presenting evidence. No, Haji, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward. You can't let him. Shut the fuck up, Gant. There's only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well. Let us settle this once and for all. Earlier, you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now. How about we take a look at the good old book of evidence law. Rule 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Okay. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case and trial. Simply put, until he said that he was hiding it, this evidence wasn't relevant. This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, and Miss Guy's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth. Nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying, I didn't have approval from the police department. Rule 2, unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case and trial. And here is the crux of the matter. You see, at the time, it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident. What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and... Sorry, but can you recall, when was that picture presented? Well, that was shown only a few moments ago. He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's chest. Vest. God damn, I keep doing that. Oh, yes. No! It was then that you approved of this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. And there's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant. The killer was you. Oh, this is hilarious, truly. I'm just going to keep laughing now because I'm a crazy madman. Also, here I pass out. I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years, he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Star, then convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yeah, that's right. If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room, and then all of a sudden, he had to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered. He told me to open up the evidence room and take it out. It's not too late. I'll hand this to Marshall. Well, to be honest, I was a little panicked too. I had a bad feeling about it, but never knew it would come to this. That's when I saw it, that accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. You would only increase the amount of blood, and you couldn't finish what you started. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I was wiping it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my mistake. Detective Gumshoe's bloody handprint. I used to be known as the crime computer. Thought everyone had to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. Then you put the body in my car. I'm sorry. We couldn't think of any other way to move the body. Who's we? Oh, you mean you and Lana, I guess. I'm assuming? Who else is this we? We broke the trunk. But what's the big deal? You pulled out a lot more than us detectives. What does this have to do with anything? You're horrible. How could you get Ms. Sky involved in all of this? Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out. So, you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker. I feel bad for having to do it. I couldn't sit around and pick and choose what to take. Well, you left the jar fragment and gloves. Yeah, it looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. And I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. You know, I kind of like how he's taking this at the end. He's just like, yeah, fuck, you got me. Good fucking job, everyone. That's kind of unusual. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well under close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, what are you doing in court? Me? You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day, you'll understand. If you want to take them on alone, you'll figure out what's needed. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Archie. What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be, long ago. You were once a fine investigator, an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person. Those days are gone now, Aji. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Wright here, and Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. You see, if I listen carefully, I can hear it right now. The sound of a new beginning. I don't remember him being like this in the end. Kinda like it. There are two things I want you to understand. Yes. First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Ms. Sky, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years. From the time I had Gant help me forge evidence, up until today. So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, Miss Sky. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My. What high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows? A few years from now, you just might make it to the top. Holy shit, she's smiling. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Sky? And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing. Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you, and yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it! I only did my job. Uh-huh. In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Ms. Skye. Yes, Your Honor? You are innocent of murder. However, although the Chief blackmailed you, the fact is that you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date. Yes, I understand, Your Honor. Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling? It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains. Well, this trial has gone on far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Ms. Lana Skye, not guilty. Gotta love it. That is all. The court is adjourned. Whew, 5:03 p.m. now. Welcome to the defendant lobby. At long last, it's finally over. Oh, Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended, I can see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. You've done well. You know, I did my best too, but Lana didn't say a single word to me. Hope I'm not interrupting anything. More errands? Gumshoe, why are you here? Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Oh, poor Gumshoe. Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding. Oh, are you here because of my sister again? Nope, not this time. I came today because of you, pal. Me? That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone. Hey, it's Lana. Lana. Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't. Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day, 2 years ago, was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. Sis. I asked Aunt to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake, but now I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. But sis, you were only doing it for me. No. I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis? I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy. Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have. Oh, Emma. Emma. Look at that. The Sky Sisters reunited. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in so doing, we can find the way back to our path. And once we've found our path, we can move on from our past mistakes toward a brighter future. At least, that's what I felt, looking at those two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe, me. Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here. He does not look happy to be called out. Where was he hiding? I just came to say congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right. Well, I'll be going now. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realize today that I can't change my own mistakes. Good. That's true, nobody can. Mr. Edgeworth, not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. You despise criminals, I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day, you'll understand. If you want to take them on alone, you'll figure out what's needed. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime alone, one needs a weapon. It's scary, but I've been thinking the same thing for quite some time now. But Edgeworth, who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime, but they both made the same mistake. You said, in order to fight crime alone, one needs a weapon. That may be right, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright. And because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? What? Oh, sure. Yes. Is this a pop quiz? I thought the trial was over. Come on, Mr. Wright. Show him what Lana's talking about. Evidence that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own? The Book of Evidence Law? Wait, no. No, that's not right. It's the evidence list that was cut in half. That's the picture I drew. Our counterattack began with this. You had one half of the evidence list, and I had the other. Apart. We wouldn't have been able to completely restore it in this picture. That didn't just happen by chance, Edgeworth. It's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth? If you'll excuse me, there's still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Not even a goodbye to me? Edgeworth, what will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember, what happened in this trial can either make or break you as a prosecutor. In the end, it's up to you. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks too, right? But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth. I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. I'd better be getting back too. Okay, I'll come visit you. It seems we both still have a lot to learn. Here, this is a little something for you. Scientific investigation? It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will. And so, another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. Huh? What is it, detective? There's just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this. But I thought you said it was okay. Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story. Basically, I had a private car in order to sneak around for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Gumshoe. Way to go, detective. I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright here is the one who will be footing the bill. Are you shitting me? What? You think I could afford that with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal. Huh? Oh, thank you, Mr. Wright. You're the best. Why is it I suddenly feel like I want to scream? Since we're all here, why don't we all go together? Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go. Oh god, I have to actually say it. Can I just... Alright, I think I can use the mic for this. Objection. No, it's not working. Shit. I don't know how to... Oh, there we go. I don't know why it didn't work the first time around, but whatever. Alright, that is the end of the game again. We had credits after the previous case with Edgeworth, and now we have more credits. Yay. I'm not going to read the text here that's going on. I'm just going to be talking about the game. So if you want to see anything else, go for it. You can. I can go ahead and dust fingerprints here, I guess. Whenever there's people on the screen, you can do that. I thought I would be able to blow on it, but maybe not. There we go. You can see artwork made like that. It's pretty cool. I like it. It's a cool little thing that you can do. So that is going to be the end of this game completely at this point. There's nothing else to do. It's completely done. There are, of course, more games in the Phoenix Wright series that we'll be getting to eventually, but we got a lot of games that I'm wanting to do at some point in this game, or on this channel. There's no doubt that. There's so many games I want to play. Hey, look. Gumshoe. Kind of cool. I really like that you can do that. But when we'll be getting to the next game, I don't know. I believe the next one is Justice for All, if I'm remembering correctly. It's pretty fun as well. I mean, I like all the games in the series. I don't like all the cases that much, but I feel like this game was pretty solid all throughout. The Steel Samurai one was a little odd with some of the characters, but I think it was still good. But what game are we going to be playing next? Well, I mentioned before that I don't know. It's going to be one of two things. It's either going to be a game that is archived footage from a stream that I'm planning on doing, or it's going to be the third game in a series that we've already been playing. Oh god, Meekins. And his panic art. Ugh. Which one it'll be, I'm not really sure. It's kind of going to depend on timing for whenever the stream game is finishing. By the time this game is finished uploading, I'm really not sure. I'm going to be recording the next game ahead of time just in case I need to put it up right after this game. But we'll just see what happens. If you like the game, hey, you know what? Consider sticking around a little bit longer if you weren't already planning to, I guess. Oh god, is there seriously going to be art for Blue Badger? Oh jeez. Alright, let's see here. Alright, that's kind of cool. I like that. This game has a lot of characters. Oh no, it's broken! And I don't just mean that as in the characters exist. I mean, they got some great character to them. From Lotta Hart to Windy Old Bag, Salmonella, even Frank saw it. Oh god, Larry Butts. Ugh. Honestly, of all the, I actually like Jake Marshall. He's a pretty cool character. And of all the actual villains, I think Damon Gant's my favorite one in this game. Von Car was pretty good, but I really like how Demon Gant ended up at the end. It might have been just be partly the voice I was giving him. There we go. You can see some more Jake there. But I feel like it really worked for his personality. I know not every voice that I used in this game was a winner. There's some that need some work. I'm not the biggest fan of my Judge, not the biggest fan of my Gumshoe. My old bag could definitely have used some work there. I really like what I came up with Meekins. That was really funny. And I intentionally made my Edgeworth and my Phoenix very similar, and sometimes they were the exact same. And I know Maya, Penny, and Mia, they all, or not Mia, I guess Mia too, Lana and Emma, they all were fairly similar, especially Emma, Penny, and Maya. And I mean, I can't do much with female voices, I just don't have it. I can do some different voices, I can do some different accents, but them I had nothing for. There wasn't really anything I could do about that. Kind of wondering when these credits will be over. I guess I don't need to show the full credits, but I really like to do that. I think it shows respect to the game makers, everybody that worked on it. Like, why cut them out of this video? There's no point to doing that. It's silliness. Good old Judge. No, we will never learn his name. At least not in the current games that have released so far. Maybe one day. Maybe someday late in the future with Ace Attorney 7, 8, 9, 10, I don't know. But as of right now, no, we do not know his name. The closest we have is Judge. That's it. And then Gant's nickname for him, Uffy. I mean, I'm thinking back on the case in this game. We had the case with Larry in the beginning with his dead girlfriend. We had Mia dying, the Steel Samurai, then we had the DL6 incident, and then this SL9 incident. They were all pretty solid. I mean, the first case is always weaker, because it's supposed to be a tutorial case. That's just how it always goes. The first case in every game is going to be a real easy case. There's no investigation phase to it. It's just, alright, you're in court. Here's a quick, easy one for players that may not have played the older games. That's why they exist. And so they're always on the weaker side of things, and there's no design. The Frank Solid case was on the weaker side, but considering it was supposed to be the first case, it's introductory, it was a teach you the game, I'm fine with it. Who cares? The Steel Samurai case, really I don't think there was much bad about it. The only thing I was annoyed with was some of the characters I had to deal with. Doing Old Bag was a pain in the ass, and Salmonella, ugh, that guy, no. The Bellboy? Really, the Bellboy. I can do sit with him. Okay, sure. Oh, it's Art for Edgeworth. I thought it was going to be the Bellboy, and I was really confused. Okay, whatever. That's fine. Wow, it's not done yet. Okay, Jesus. I thought it was going to be done, because we'd already had credits earlier in the game. But I'm guessing that these credits are specifically for this case. And they might be mostly all the same people, or even completely all the same. I really have no idea. It kind of makes sense because this case was made after the original game. This is literally a bonus case. It did not exist originally, which is why we had the double credit scenario. I kind of wish they would just have put the credits at the very end, like after this case, just shifting them over, but whatever. There's one last thing we can do here. Open the book. Final action of the game. Well, there's a letter. I'm assuming from Lana. Oh, or it's a picture. One of the two. I guess that's from 2 years ago. I don't know what else it would be from. But that, everyone, is the end. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney has come to a close, and I will see you all next time, and whatever our next game ends up being. See you all then. Bye, everyone.